SunTV. I'm Clint Franks. Along with me, as always, is our editor and publisher, Deanne Campbell. Hello, Deanne.
Hello, Clint. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
We have to start this show talking about just that.
Yeah.
What's going on? Nothing's going on much in sports today, right, in Alabama?
The world will cease at 7:15 this evening as the Alabama Crimson Tide goes in search of its 17th national championship as they take on an old foe in the Georgia Bulldogs. It'll be the teacher versus the student as Nick Saban will take his Crimson Tide into Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta to face Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs. A lot of stories can be said about that, but
there was a lot of naysayers about the Tide this year. I guess they've put most of that to rest, and maybe tonight they'll put the rest of it to rest.
I hope so.
You can't see the rest of the attire here, but we're decked out with Tide.
We are. Two phenomenal seasons of great coaching, Coach Saban, that goes without saying. Kirby Smart, what can you say? He's resurrected a Bulldog program, and it should be a
He's done an awesome job, and we'll wait and see whether he learned a lot from Nick,
right? So
that he can actually come up against Nick in a big way tonight. And I'm a little nervous about that, actually.
Always nervous when Alabama and Georgia play each other. Last time these two got together, they were playing in the SEC championship, and Alabama won in dramatic fashion, 32-28.
There's some push to have them play every year, and really proximity would make you believe, and I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but why is that they don't play more often?
The reason why they don't play more often is Alabama's in the SEC West, Georgia's in the SEC East. They really didn't play they played each other numerous times through the years, but they've never been what you call yearly rivals, and that has something to do with the setup of the schedule. And now it's even. They don't play each other a lot now because of the rotation of it all has to do with scheduling.
I see. Well, let's see tonight whether or not we're going to end up with another championship, or we're going to go home lacking, like we did the last time we tried.
Well, if you've seen the news, you saw what Scott Cochran, the Alabama strength and conditioning coach, did to the runner-up trophy. He threw it in the floor and took a sledgehammer and said, "This is what we think about runner-up trophy."
That's exactly right. Well, I know that Jalen Hurts had something to prove this year because of the loss in the last championship game, and he more than proved that when they went up against Clemson.
That's right.
It was like, I think probably the most important game of his career that night, from what I heard him talk about before and after. That
is true, and I truly believe if losing is a good thing, one of the best things that happened to Alabama is getting beat by Auburn. I hate, and a lot of people will say, "What in the world is he drinking this morning?"
Well, it brought the chickens home to roost.
It did, and Alabama, they got a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Within sports, Clint, there's some things going on nationally that are not related to the Alabama Crimson Tide, believe it or not.
It can happen.
Yeah. Well, particularly, there's always controversy on the political scene, especially since our illustrious president seems to have that follow him day in and day out, all day long, every day of his life. And some of that's good, some of that's bad, and we just don't really need to get into that discussion. But there is something that's happening now in our country that I think we can get behind with both feet, and that's the opening up of more energy exploration off our coastlines. Glad to see that. And at the first of his presidency, President Trump signed the approval for the Keystone Pipeline expansion project, and that we're glad to see those things happening in energy in our country. The fact is that we still import about 40% of the oil that we need, and we really need to move towards more independency in that regard, so that we don't have to buy oil from people who hate us. And who could pull the rug out from under us if they so chose.
True, and if you don't believe it has an effect, go and every time you fill up, you pay for that.
That's right. So we're glad to see that kind of thing, and that's something I can applaud the president for. And we're hoping to see more good news coming down the pike as the legislature gets started back in this week, actually. And speaking of that, the state legislature is also in session this week for the 2018 legislative session, and they've got a lot on their plate, some things that we recapped in the paper last week as to what bills may be coming up for debate for the state of Alabama. And we'll have more on that as it goes along. One particular thing that we haven't seen on the agenda yet, although it may be, and we just haven't seen that yet in the news cycles, is whether or not the A-Trip 2 bill will come back up for debate. You know, that's the bill last year that was talked about, but never made it for a vote. Just sort of fizzled out and never made it there. And we had been waiting up until the very last day to see if that would happen. The A-Trip 2 bill, as it was named, would have provided more than $10 million for Choctaw County for road and bridge projects in the county, for county roads and bridges. Just to kind of give an idea about actual A-Trip money, which is federal and state dollars, that money is earmarked for roads in areas where there is higher traffic.
Right. And
that's the reason that a lot of that money can't be used for our little roads like Branch Road and Brightwater Road and now Mount Nebo Road and all those roads that we travel down and complain about all the time, and rightfully so. Those are some areas that are really in dire need. So we were hoping to see that A-Trip 2 bill come to pass again this session, and we'll see if it does. It is a fuel tax. There's some debate about that, but it is a small fuel tax, but the money would come to Choctaw County for those projects, and the fact is that you can't do it without the money.
That's right.
So, whether or not you want to, I don't love taxes.
No.
Nobody does. Don't want to see my gas bill go up every month when I pay my little gas card, but I do want to see our roads and bridges improved.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that, and we'll be watching it and give you some more information as time goes by. What's going on locally?
Locally, well, local basketball is back in full swing. You've got all 4 high schools there. They're in action. As a matter of fact, one ties back into tonight's game. Choctaw County High's game is canceled for tonight
because of the
and I would imagine,
championship game. Right.
I would imagine it's got something. They didn't actually say that, but hey, I would imagine it's got something to do with that. But and we'll a lot of your area races are starting to heat up, playoff implications and all that.
What are you seeing basketball wise? Who's shining right now?
Choctaw County High, their girls are really looking good.
They usually are. That's always been their powerhouse.
They are. Let's see. I was at the Patrician Marengo game the other night, and the thing was with their girls. They're the two-time defending state champions, and everybody was sort of like, well, they're going to fall off. They're going to fall off. They looked really good against Marengo.
They did lose some of their star players though from graduation.
They did, and that's what I'm talking. They really lost a lot. The boys looked really good the other night. And still, you got some that are still feeling their way through the season. South Choctaw's girls are looking.
They're looking good.
They're looking good. And as you know, basketball season's kind of a short season, so you're in the meat of playoff things right now, and we'll have more on that. Good.
Other than that, locally this week in the paper, we'll see a story about a local man who is in pretty serious need of help. Visited last week with a man, Odie Touchstone, here, lives on Paragon Road here in Gilbertown. And the situation at his home is serious.
Yeah.
And there are some local residents who are really stepping up to help. You can say a lot of things about Choctaw County, but when one of us is in need, people come out of the woodwork to help, and that's what's happening with Mr. Touchstone. And we hope to see that come to pass, that he gets a place to live that's safe and warm, and where it will not, the walls and ceiling will not literally fall down around him. And he's in his 80s. His wife passed away a few years ago, and he's just had a rough time. And so we're going to be talking more about that in the paper, about what's going on with him and the efforts to help him this week. So that's something to be watching for. And in other news in the paper this week, we're going to talk about some accountability scores, some assessment scores for the Choctaw County Public School System. That information was released by the school system last week as part of the accountability law in the state. They have to release those numbers, and we'll take a look at that and see what's going on with our kids in local schools.
Also, I know a lot of you people are keeping up with Cody Dew. Cody was injured the Monday before Thanksgiving in a pretty tough vehicle accident. He's at the Shepherd Center, a world-renowned rehabilitation facility in Atlanta dealing with spinal cord injuries. Cody is starting to show some good signs of improvement. We'll keep you up to date on that too.
He's a tough young man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and one of those young people that is just top-notch, shining star. He's a good boy, and we hope his family knows that we are praying for him and for them during this time.
Absolutely.
Well, Clint, also coming up in local news, we hope to see some word as to whether or not the Choctaw County Commission will or will not approve the amended abatement request from Georgia Pacific. They had approved an abatement for a boiler project that the paper mill had asked for last year. It was for $162 million projected estimate of cost for that project. Since then, the mill has amended that, and it is now a $225 million project. And they've asked for amendment to the abatement for the taxes for that project, and the county is in discussion now with the mill about whether or not they're going to approve that amendment. And we're going to wait and see. Maybe we might hear something about that this week. We may not. We don't know. We're kind of waiting to see because, you know, the paper mill is pretty important to the county.
Oh, yeah.
The tax money that's generated at the paper mill is important to the county. We couldn't survive without it, if you want to know the truth. The school system stands to gain from that. The county, we hope, will gain from that if things go along and the agreement is made and we can see some good things for both sides. The mill is planning some other expansions. We can't really go into detail about that right now, but it promises to be good things for the county if it all works out the way we see it coming down the pike. And so we're going to wait and see what happens with the county. The county's trying to make sure that that Choctaw County is comes out on the good end of this expansion out there, and rightfully so.
Right.
We also know that Georgia Pacific is important to the county, and we need to also understand they are a business that provides a lot of jobs, and we're going to wait and see what happens with that. We hope good things happen with that. So that's our show for today. We're going to see you back here on Wednesday with some more, we hope, some good news out of Tuscaloosa. And we'll see you then. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.